Hello, my name is Bryce Tubbs. With me today is Michael Connor. He's a life empowerment coach for professionals and high-level leaders looking for balance in their lives. I'm super excited to be able to share his story with you today. Thank you so much for coming on today, Michael.
Thank you so much, Bryce.
And, before we get started, for those watching, if you have not already, go and check out the links either in the comments or in the description below to come and join us inside of our free community. It's a mastermind where people come together and support each other every single day. So if that is what you've been missing in your life, come and join us. Just wanted to invite you. Now, Michael, can you please tell us a little bit about what you do and really just introduce yourself correctly?
Most certainly, everyone. I'm Michael Connor. I'm a life coach, and I'm also a content creator. I have a really unique story. Prior to being a life coach, I was in corporate, but being a queer, Black, HIV man, it was a different experience for me than it is from, let's say, people from a nuclear environment or people who look different than me. So it was always like a downhill battle, struggling against the tide to kind of fit into this environment. And I realized through this experience as building my career that it wasn't really about it being a fit. It was about stepping into my authenticity. When I was able to step into this authenticity, that's what led me to the route of being a life coach and really helping people who were in my situation. People who worked in the corporate world thought it was something they had to do, but didn't see themselves enough to find their authentic piece of themselves. And as you folks may or may not know, but the corporate world today is really starting to change and mold itself towards people bringing their authentic self to work. Because if you bring your authentic self to work, you can work 1,000 times better for an organization. And so when I figured that out, I want to help people along that journey bring really their authentic selves. And that's been my journey. It hasn't been a straight line. It's been more of a perpendicular and or a circle, let's say.
Yeah. I guess that's what success is kind of like. Everybody's like, when you start a business, I call them civilians, are like, why are you not a millionaire? You've been in business for a month. Why are you not Zuckerberg?
Those opportunities are few and far between.
Yeah, just kind of switching camera angles real quick. Now, for those watching, can you give some tips about how they can start to, one, be aware of who their authentic self is, and then maybe some tips for being more authentic?
I think it really takes time to step away from the projects you're working on. A lot of times we as people get caught in being task oriented. Oh, our boss said we have to do that. Our kids are demanding this of us. So we're meeting task. And I'm not saying that tasks aren't going to happen, because they are, Bryce. We're going to all have tasks in our lives, but it's being able to step away from that time and what I call self-love and self-care, and being able to spend moments to yourself. And in those moments, again, don't take it so serious. It can really just mean your kids are screaming in your house, mommy, daddy, I need this. Okay, guys, you need to take a time out and literally take a deep breath and go, let that out. And that's enough time to clear that thought to allow you to move forward and what you need to do with a clearer thought than being under pressure of being task oriented. So from my perspective, it's teaching people how to do that, how to step away from something. There was several situations, me being in corporate, I could think of 1,000 situations, but it was always demands. And when I was able to come closer to touching or getting towards my authenticity was when I was able to walk away from those commands, knowing that I was more than enough, but still being able to meet those demands or whatever was going on in the business. But at the same time, look at myself and take those moments to meditate, breathe, or just go play with Legos, but whatever it is to make me get back to my center and get more into my authentic self.
Yeah. That actually brings up a good point. So a lot of people nowadays in the past couple months have had more time to kind of reflect, but either they weren't able to kind of slow down enough.
Okay.
So can you give some tips about, how to take time out when you have more time than ever to really relax?
It's really about time boxing. And again, maybe because of me and I'm so used to working in Outlook, everything is, I make my schedule. So even as an entrepreneur and a life coach now, everything's about a schedule. I know I can plan my day how I want it. I can block my schedule for the conference calls when I want them, when I don't want this. So I just block my calendar accordingly. And so there's points in my day, and it doesn't have to be much. You can take 15 minutes or 30 minutes and just say, this is a relaxing period. I'm gonna read a book for 10 minutes and I'm gonna step aside from the projects that I'm working on. So when I come back to them, I have a clearer mind. So I definitely would say it's really time boxing. When you have, that time box control, it allows you to, move further on your journey. But the next piece to that is going to be mindset, right? Because we have to believe that we can do something. And sometimes we tell ourselves, we have this narrative of saying, oh, we can, or this is going on, and that is going on. You have to step away from saying that you can't and say that you can. So then when you have the combination of time boxing yourself to when you're going to do stuff and believing that you can do it, that's a winning combination for you to, be able to move forward on the objectives that you mentioned.
Excellent. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because you made a good point when you said that I'm an entrepreneur. So like you and I think we're kind of used to having to do that. People always complain, how do you deal with all this time? Like, welcome to my world. Because, people at the gyms are starting to open up. They're like, man, I just couldn't survive. And I'm like, yeah, it's interesting. Now, actually, that's a good question. So what is one of the biggest takeaways that you've, come away from after this slowdown time?
For me, I know I'm on the right path. Like, it seems like, seriously, guys, like I had just moved to a new place. I was traveling from the West Coast. I was in the Caribbean, and I came back from Florida, like on the day that quarantine started here in New York. So like I walked out of moving at 110 miles per hour to go into zero at the same time. But what it allowed me to do is say, yeah, you're in the right space. This is it. But reflect on that to know that you've made it to this space. Because a lot of times I wouldn't have maybe seen that if we had kept on going, because I was so like, oh my God, what can I not do? What am I not doing? And I would have been so in the race of it all that I wouldn't have reflected and knew that it was the right space. And as I mentioned in my story with corporate, if I go back a couple years ago to when I was in corporate, I would have never fathomed that I would have been here. So to think that I made it to the space that I only could have dreamed of, to take a minute to reflect on that and know that I'm here and just take it all in. I mean, that's half the battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm just kind of thinking about how to kind of transition to that next, because that is a very, very important point. Being able to just, so can you talk about, for those watching, like a lot of people, they've been, told that if you're not moving at 100%, that means you're not successful. Can you kind of talk about that? I mean, that's real.
It's a myth. And I think it's a myth based on mindset, right? Because we have something what we're called the ego mind. And the ego mind is like when you hear thoughts talking to yourself, when you hear yourself talking to yourself, when everything is still and quiet. We always say the most negative things to ourselves. So it's like, you're ugly, you're fat, you're not perfect. And so when you hear that, you start creating a narrative around it. And so if you hear other people saying, oh my God, we got to do, and then you're not doing, your mind is going to say, where is the disconnect here? Something's not right. And so then it starts giving you this like negative verbiage against what your goals are, what your heart or your soul feels. And so it's really being able to like shut that down and get back into your heart space and knowing that what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve is where you want to go. And again, that's why I said it's really about having that mindset and taking that time to yourself. Because if you don't have a good framework where you're coming from, your mindset, and you're not taking time to yourself, you're just going to be all awry. So you want to have those things kind of bring it all together. And that's what makes the core of
you. That kind of brings up a thought, doing versus being. People talk about we're human beings versus some people are human doings. Can you kind of talk about, for those who've never thought about this, like what the difference between doing and being really is?
Ooh. Doing is being action oriented. And it's, again, what I talked about in corporate, because I was that person, right? Somebody was giving me demands, working for global infrastructure projects. Things are moving so quick, having calls with people in Hong Kong in the morning and in Brazil at night. Like, it's just like, it never stops. But I'm always meeting a task. Being is being present in the moment. And so when I bring that back to myself, I slow down. Like, again, let's go back to that example with your kids, right? Mommy, 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 daddy, daddy, daddy. And you take that deep breath. That is being. Because then it allows you to be more present and give more to the doing portion of things, which is what the action of what your kids want. And so that's what it's really about. It's about, again, and maybe I'm sounding like a broken record, but to step into yourself, really take that, again, it only has to be 5 seconds. Breathe, see what that thought is, and then you can move forward without reacting to particular stimulus.
Excellent. Yeah, I think this has a pretty good conversation. Like you said, you sound like a broken record. I'm like, well, it's simple when you actually understand it. There's how many different ways can we say it so that people can really understand and really grasp? I mean, because for me, I've been doing this for about 5.5 years, and it
Okay.
wasn't until probably not even until quarantine that I really understood this stuff.
Okay.
But I work with life coaches for a living.
Okay.
So how many
Hey,
times we have
here
to
we
hear
are.
that, you know? But just kind of thinking about the future, talking about vision. What is the vision
Ooh.
for as far into the future as you'd like to think about?
It's about, for me, it's about personal freedom, right? Like, I like to travel the world and explore things, and that's always been me. I'm an explorer, right? So, and then to be able to connect that exploration with my entrepreneurial spirit is like the best of both worlds. Is being able to be that business person, but at the same time being that adventurer. And so for me, it's looking what ways can I combine those two things to kind of walk hand in hand. And I think that's really going to be the purpose of me, like why I'm here on this planet and what it really means in my day to day.
Mm.
Again, I don't have the answers for this, guys, but I'm doing steps that I'm happy with. Like each day, I'm happy waking up. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I'm enjoying this conversation with you, Bryce. It is in line with where I see myself. And so with those things, I know I'm walking towards those steps to build that future, however crazy that it may be.
Yeah, excellent. You know, do you have any new projects going on? I know we were talking about your content that you've been creating. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's funny, guys. Coming from a business space, I'm just now recently, let's say the past 2 years, have been on YouTube. But the first, let's say, year and a half, I was so focused on being motivational, motivating people, and that didn't really work for me. So now I'm pivoting that to having more fun content that not only shows my personality, but also has a motivational piece to it. And then, of course, a little bit of business side to it. So, my greatest project is really working on this content. I think that that's the best way to connect with people. And that's what we need the most now. Like, as you know, there's so much going on in the headlines right now. And it's like, that's taking us away from these like intimate human connections. And so my YouTube channel is about having fun, bringing that intimate connection back, even if it's only online, but allowing people to know that they can be authentic, they can have a vision and be free and have fun at the same time, but also be serious and do the things that they want to do to create the life they want to create.
So, can you tell the name of the channel or the name of the place they can find it?
Yes, my channel is YouTube Michael W. Connor. So that's Michael W. Connor, Conn with an OR. And that's it. And I'm sure there's probably be a link somewhere.
Right, excellent. Where can people go to learn more about you? I know they can do the YouTube channel. Can they also find you on other social media platforms too?
Yes, I am on TikTok, as well as I'm on Instagram at Harlem Bloke. And as well, you can find me on LinkedIn at Michael W. Connor.
Nice. I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming on and really sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you so much, Bryce.
Excellent. And for those watching, again, we just thank you for your time, and we really appreciate you guys watching this today. Now, again, if you guys have not already come and join us inside that community, make sure you do so. I just want to invite as many people as possible so that you can get some of the support, that we're doing. Because inside of this community, we have some very, very positive people, and the stuff that we talk about and the support that we give each other is pretty, pretty inspiring to really see. So I just want to invite you to that. There's going to be some links either above or below the video. Now, hopefully you enjoyed watching this as much as we enjoyed creating it. Feel free to hit that share button so other people can get some great value as well. Have a great day. We will talk to you soon. Thanks once again to Michael. I appreciate you. And we're done recording in 3 and 2